Is it incumbent upon Major League Baseball to figure out how to like how to save pitching, basically, and to reestablish the prominence of starting pitching in a way that does appeal both to the game's roots and that can make it a more compelling product moving forward?
Yeah, you're definitely right that sort of left to their own devices, clubs and players are going to seek to optimize performance. That's what they should do. The GMs and players are paid to perform and to win, not necessarily to put the most entertaining product out there. So it's not their job. But I think as demonstrated by the commissioner's leadership with the 2023 rule changes, it is the job of Central Baseball to create an environment where incentives for those who compete, so GMs and organizations and players, are essentially aligned in such a way that it competing and optimizing within a certain structure also produces a great product, and therefore the competition is aligned with entertainment and provides a great product for the fans. And so the pitch timer is a good example of that. The bigger bases, small thing, but the bigger bases are an example of that, shortening the distance between bases, changing the math when it comes to running the bases, and stolen bases led to a 50% increase along with the pitch timer rules, 50% increase in stolen base attempts. Those stolen bases are among fans' favorite plays at the ballpark. And so you saw a 50% spike, and something like that is good and entertaining and fan friendly. And so when it comes to pitching, left to their own devices, organizations and GMs and pitching coaches and pitchers are going to lean into maximizing, performance, and that has led to, incredible gains in stuff and velocity and spin and shorter outings, and frankly more and more injuries, and more sort of fungibility when it comes to pitching staffs, because instead of using 15 pitchers over the course of a season, you're now using 35 pitchers over the course of a season, and sort of you're distributing those 1,400 innings that you need over the course of a season among more and more players, and the pitchers are becoming more and more anonymous to fans, unfortunately, and there's a trickle down effect. It becomes harder to sort of invest in pitching when there's this amount of attrition, harder for fans to get to know them, harder for them to become household names and stars. So yeah, I think MLB certainly recognizes that it's their role to look at ways to fix the situation. There's a big study that MLB is leading going on right now about pitching health and modern pitching. And there have already been some interventions to try to reverse the trend. An example would be the 3-batter minimum. An example would be putting a 13 pitcher limit on the roster. And there are a lot of other ways to go about it. But I think that kind of like real structural change over time with the rules and with the roster rules probably will be necessary, because modern pitching left to its own devices isn't going to stop where it is now. It's going to keep going to the point where you're going to see more and more fungibility with pitching, and it's going to continue to evolve in a way where the starting pitcher has less and less of a role. And I think starting pitchers are some of the most important protagonists that we have in the industry. I think fans love seeing the same pitcher out there for an extended period of time, getting to follow his arc over the course of a game, the ups, the downs, see him have to battle through adversity, either thrive or fail in the end. And that kind of lead character is good for fans, and it's good for the industry. And what we have now, because the priorities of modern pitching have changed from, the starting pitcher's role used to be go as deep in the game as you can, giving your team a chance to win, try to go 9 if you can, if not go 8, if not go 7, eat up as many of those 1,400 innings over the course of the season as you can. Now it's just miss as many bats as you can. Don't worry if it's only 4 1/3. We've got 8 guys behind you, throw 99 miles an hour coming out of the bullpen. So it's going to take some intervention. It's going to take some structural change, some rule changes in order to shift the priorities again back, to emphasize volume and efficiency and durability a little bit more, and sort of pure power and bat missing and max effort a little bit less. And restoring that equilibrium, I think, in the long run will be really good for the game, really good for starting pitching, and ultimately really good for fans.
Do you have a favorite pitcher's duel that you saw, like as a kid growing up, or or maybe it was one that you saw in those 18 years in the number one chair?
Yeah, one of my favorites was when I was coming up with the Padres, and I was working the radar gun behind home plate. And this is going to be kind of random, but Pedro Martinez with the Expos faced off against Joey Hamilton at then Jack Murphy Stadium, and I won't even have the details right. We'll look it up afterwards, but I think I like it was like Pedro might have had 9 no-hit innings, and then gave it up in the 10th, and Joey Hamilton had like a one hitter or something through 9. It was incredible, but it was sort of my first look at peak Pedro, and the guy pitching against him was pretty good that night too, Joey, and it was eye opening. Yeah, I think we all kind of remember the first time you saw Pedro with 3 top of the charts ridiculous weapons and like the best competitiveness and mound demeanor of all time, like staring right at you. In my case, I'm sitting behind the plate with a gun.